Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. It's been a long time. I know it's like the middle of January, but Happy New Year to all of you guys. Hopefully 2021 will be a lot better than 2020. But in this video, I'm going to be doing a custom DIY, but instead of working on jeans, I will be working on a hat. So it's gonna be like this, pretty similar. Thing about these hats is that there's no logo or design on them when I bought them, so we got to spice it up a little bit by adding a design on them. Now, I won't be tie-dyeing, I won't be painting. Instead, I will be trying out embroidery. I've never done this before. I watched a couple of videos on YouTube real quick, but I got a review because it's been a while since I've watched those. It seems simple enough in a sense, but at the same time, I know it's going to be very time consuming. Now, the design I'm going to embroider onto my hat is this one right here. So it just says J Spirit 2. It kind of sounds like at J Spirit 2, but instead of at, it's got a picture of an Akita because my dog is an Akita. I didn't want to do anything too complicated because, you know, it's my first time embroidering, and I'm sure it's gonna be really hard for me if I do something really complex and everything. So I think this will do. Now, because this is my favorite hat, like this is the hat I use like 95% of the time I go outside, I don't want to start working on this one because it's my first time embroidering. I'm gonna use this one instead, so if I mess up, it's okay, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Yo, that was bright as hell. But what's good, y'all? We're mixing it up a bit with some embroidery action. These are the main things I use for this custom. I actually use fabric cutting scissors though, not the ones shown, because these are actually buns I'm cutting the thread. But I got a sewing needle, embroidery loop ring, pins, and thread, etc. You can see it all there. Now, the first step is you got to put the ring on the right spot. I used the second smallest hoop because of the size of my design, which was 1 by 3 inches. I think anything bigger than like 4 inches would be a little bit too bulky for a dad hat. I then cut around the logo so that it would fit inside the hoop, and so it'd be easier to see where I should place it. When I got everything in place, I pinned the paper to secure it down, making sure that the paper was flat on the fabric, otherwise it'll just look really wonky in the end. If you look under the hat, the ring fit exactly in between the black hem security thingies, whatever they're called, which was pretty convenient. Now we can start the embroidery process. First thing is to sew the outline of the entire design. For this project, I only needed 2 thread colors, which were white and gold. The black on the logo was so that I can see the white letters, but I realize now I could have just printed out the outline of the logo rather than filled in white. But that part wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't perfect, and I'm sure it wasn't 100% the proper way to do it, but I used the backstitch method when sewing. I actually used this method for about like 95% of this project, and then the other one I used was a split stitch, but the backstitch looked better in my opinion, so I just mainly used that. For the outline of the Akita, I separated the thread into one so the outline would be thinner. Once I was done sewing all of the white, I switched over to the gold thread and filled in those outlines. The thicker area on the fabric was an actual pain. I mean, like literally my hand was aching so bad. I was really contemplating getting an embroidery machine, but I mean, who got the money for that? Not me. But once the outlining was done, it's time to take off the paper. And in order to do this, we simply have to dab some water to make the paper wet to make it easier to peel off. But what I didn't take into account was the black ink smearing onto my hat. Like literally did not think of that ever happening, but it did, and there's not really much I can do about it, so moving on. Digging for the paper in the cracks and crevices was kind of a nuisance, but overall, removing the paper was pretty satisfying. Fortunately for me though, when I finished digging out the soaked paper and looked at the entire design, the ink smear kind of looks dope, and it also helps with the visibility of it since I'm using white thread on a light colored hat. You know, to be honest, I got kind of lucky there. From here, I fixed the outlines that weren't right since I can now see it better without the paper in the way, but I was kind of struggling with the Akita because of how small and thin it was. It would have been easier if it was bigger for sure. I mean, like I could have even gone into detail with it too. Now for the fun part, which was filling in the design. Now the process is pretty simple and straightforward until you get to the thicker part of the fabric. Now the P in J Spirit 2, it was on that part. It was on the thicker part, and it took me like 2 days to finish, but the areas with just one layer went smoothly. It was just really time consuming overall. Now, I said my hand was aching before, but this time my hand was cramping and even bleeding trying to pull the needle through. I mean, like, it's probably because I'm doing something wrong here, which would explain why I was struggling so much, but you know what we do? we find a way around it. So I took some small pliers and used that to pull the thread through the rough patches, and my guy was a lifesaver. Holy. Now to secure the thread, I took some tissue paper, like the ones I use for ironing transfer paper on clothes, placed on the back of the design and ironed it down. And we're done, basically. Now, as you can see, there's just a ring crease because of the hoop that was attached for 3 days, but it's a simple fix. Like all you need is a hat cardboard crown thingy, a rolled up sweater and a steamer, and then you just like steam it away. Now this wasn't intentional either, but the steam reacted with the ink or something and created like this faint rainbow around some edges of the design. It's kind of crazy looking, but yeah, here's the final product. But yeah guys, finally I finished that DIY. That thing took way longer than I thought. Like I knew that was gonna be time consuming, but oh my goodness, 3 days for this? Like what am I doing? I'm doing something wrong. But the main thing is I got it done. I think it looks really dope, even though it didn't really go as planned. I mean, with all of the smeared ink and then even like that rainbow little lining around it, I think it all worked out in the end. But here is the hat tried on. I gotta sink a little bit lower so you can really see it, but not bad at all. Now the plan was originally that if I did well on this hat, I would do this one too, but since I'm kind of scarred from that process, I'll probably hold off on that for like 2 months or something, because again, my hand was hurting so much when I was doing this. Again, it was bleeding, like it wasn't the best time. And speaking of time, you need a lot of it for this. So I'll just settle with this hat for now, but it's cool because I've learned the skill of embroidery. I can never say it, I can't say it. What's going on? Now it may not be perfect and maybe not even the correct way to do it, but I'm still able to do it, which means that I can incorporate that into like my denim DIYs. But I know that it would just like extend the length of that project, but it is what it is, you know what I mean? It's a cool little way to add more details and cool features and whatnot on my clothes, give it that 3D effect, be pretty cool. Fun fact, I've been watching Attack on Titan recently and I wanted to put Mikasa's face right there, but honestly I didn't really want to walk around with an anime character on my head. I mean, it was cool if you guys want to do that, but I wasn't really down. Like if I were to wear an anime character, I'd probably put it on like on a sweater or something. That would be good for another future custom video. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, hit that sub button too, I'd really appreciate it. But anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.